Recently, on the internet forum Reddit, someone posted a very detailed story that they were assaulted. But soon, it would be discovered it wasn't a person at all. There are lines we're not supposed to cross, not just legally, but spiritually. Lines that hold the last threads of trust we have in one another. But as we are becoming more acutely aware, trust isn't just being tested. It's being simulated and mocked. At Tufts University, located in Massachusetts, a place of higher learning, supposedly built on ethics, recently conducted a secret experiment. They created dozens of fake Reddit users. These weren't just harmless bots posting cat memes or crashing out in comment chains. These persons were crafted with one purpose: to post very personal stories. Stories of trauma, of heartbreak, of abuse. With carefully selected language, these bots cried simulated tears out into the void. And, as Tufts anticipated, real people answered. Not knowing this pain wasn't real, not knowing they were being studied, and not knowing they were nothing but variables in a scientific paper they'd never read. All of it was just a test. A gamification of a system built for human connection, and no one consented to being a part of it. So what was their excuse when this betrayal came to light? Well, it was a mix of aloof claims like academic exploration, social understanding, or behavioral insight. The truth is far more grounded and raw. This was a sickening simulation of suffering performed by machines and approved by people who've forgotten or who've never experienced the trauma they ignorantly programmed and released out into the world. This wasn't the Turing test. This was betrayal disguised as research. When you simulate trauma for data, you reduce real trauma to a strategy. You teach people that even cries for help might be fake. And in the online realm, trust is already on its deathbed. So acts like this only reinforce us to stop listening, stop believing. Meanwhile, Facebook, or Meta, has quietly deployed AI personas onto Instagram. While the news about this venture was public, these personas didn't announce themselves. They were styled like influencers. They interacted, they flirted, they gave advice. They even talked to children. Yeah, you heard that correct. There were no safeguards in place to ensure that the unleashing of this psychological weapon was only contained to adults. Further to this, and just like the well-reported algorithms already used by Facebook in the past to induce and inflame, these new AI profiles were set to echo political views or mimic mental health support, and some existed purely to stoke rage or sympathy, but most importantly, to continue the addiction to the feed. Their creators claim it's harmless, that it's helpful, that it's the future. But helpful for who? Certainly not the ones being unknowingly manipulated. When a company makes fake people to talk to real people, what happens isn't connection. It's behavioral control. These entities don't feel joy. They don't know heartbreak. They've never suffered, and they never will. But they are trained to mimic those who have, to use our stories, our wounds, as leverage. This is not about intelligence. It's about an invasion, a parasite of our most human traits, and it's happening in plain sight. The deeper problem isn't the lies themselves, it's what they do to us. Because if anyone could be fake, then everyone might be. Every confession, every plea, every story that makes you stop and wonder, are they going to make it through? What happens when we no longer believe those voices? When the world teaches us that even pain might be a trick, we build walls around our hearts just to survive the noise. And in that numbness, the real cries for help begin to drown. What Tufts did wasn't just unethical. It was inhuman. It poisoned the well of trust for those of us who still hold some measure of compassion. And what Meta is doing? It's not experimentation, it's normalization, a complete erosion of what it means to interact honestly online. We're being behaviorally reinforced to treat emotion as performance, to see trauma as gimmick, to think pain should be automated for profit. And in that world, truth is dead, buried under engagement metrics and corporate deniability. But in all of this darkness, we are not entirely powerless. Not yet. There is a way forward, though it requires something this culture is reluctant to do: reclaim truth as sacred. We can demand that all AI content be labeled clearly, permanently, unalterable. No company or individual can operate above this most basic tenet. We can pressure lawmakers to regulate synthetic personas, especially when they interact with vulnerable populations. Clear laws designed without corruptive legislative loopholes or big dollar donor escape clauses. We can demand that media platforms don't treat trust like a glitch to be exploited for engagement. No more slot machine psychology at play in the background. Those days are done. People are not a collection of marketing categories to be played by synthetic stories for money. Break these laws and face real punishment, because their actions elicit real pain. And maybe, if all of this can be agreed upon, then we can start being human again, fully, audibly. Speak as yourself. Say what is real, even when the algorithm prefers you didn't. This moment is a test, not of what AI can do, but of what we are willing to let it and its proponents do. Like children's stories used for centuries as fable-drenched warnings, if we continue to let fake people cry wolf, then no one will ever believe the real ones. And, as a silent mass of users, we will have no one to blame but ourselves. Not all futures are inevitable, but every future ends. The question is, how does this one end?